I'm not getting any sound.
Don't make me put my hands on my hips.
I'll have to.
It clearly states Princess on my birth certificate. Book nerd. And the two O's are actually a pair of glasses. So. Okay. I'm not a proctologist, but I know it when I see one. It is what it is, of course. Just remember, if we get caught, you're deaf and I don't speak English. Wait, I don't snore. I dream I'm a motorcycle. And I've got to do this. Is it okay, May? I showed you, okay, I showed her and she said it was okay for me to do this one. Holy C-H-I-T. Holy shit. Chit. Oh well. Fun t-shirt, sweatshirt. Serious things cannot be understood without laughable things, nor opposites at all without opposites. Plato, 1428 BC. 428. Made him even older than he thought he was. Men who borrow their opinions can never repay their debt. If it is a profitable thing, if one is wise, to seem foolish. Again, somebody at 425 BC. I had to read it about 4 times myself to make sense out of that one, but we'll just move on. And a continental proverb, what was hard to endure is sweet to recall. Unfortunately, sometimes that's true. So, or fortunately, that's just how life works sometimes. Speaking of chickens, things you always didn't know you knew. No one knows just when and where men first kept poultry. Already in ancient practice by the time of Julius Caesar, this type of husbandry spread over the whole civilized world. Lacking incubators and warm houses, chicks couldn't be reared in cold weather. New England farmers of the last century found that those that broke the shell early in the spring brought premium prices. So, sharpers sometimes tried to deceive customers by offering old birds as though they belonged to the spring crop. Wise buyers would protest that a tough fowl was no spring chicken. Hence, the barnyard term came to name a person as well as birds that have passed beyond the plump and tender age. I guess I'm no longer plump and tender. What can I say? So. Comedian Jerry Lewis is the only entertainer on record to be nominated for the Nobel Prize, 1977. His nomination was parodied in a November 2003 episode of The Simpsons. So, interesting. Isn't it? There was something else. Oh, you had something to say. That's right. I remembered, huh? Amazing.
Amazing. Okay, I really have 2 things to say. One is about the Greg Unterberger class. He's a hypnotherapist, and he's going to lead us in regression therapy. And the quickening means to quicken your experience with the spiritual side of you. So it should be a very interesting class. And speaking of interesting classes, yesterday, was amazing. There were over 30 of us here, and our leader, Janice, shifted every single one of us. Thank you.
And nobody saw Janice in the back while I said Janice shifted everybody. She's going. So. Love is when my mommy sees daddy smelly and sweaty and still says he's handsomer than Robert Redford. Marianne, age 4. Love is when your puppy licks your face even after you left him all alone during the day.
I have one more though.
Another one of these? Okay. Lauren, age 4. I know my older sister loves me because she gives me all her old clothes and has to go out and buy new ones.
Okay, here's a real love thing. Phil, when he's done with his shaver, blows the whiskers out of the thingy. Drives me nuts. There's
I have a
just,
sonic blower,
He has
I
a
guess.
sonic whatever, and it just kills me. He takes himself and his shaver into the other bathroom and blows his whiskers out there. That's love.
The unexpected, okay. Did you ever stop and wonder, oh, wait a minute, that's not true. Okay, why does Goofy stand erect while Pluto remains on all fours? If corn oil is made from corn and vegetable oil is made from vegetables, then what is baby oil made from? If electricity comes from electrons, does morality come from morons? Why do the alphabet song and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star have the same tune? Inquiring minds want to know.
The alphabet song.
Okay. I hope you didn't see this one coming like I did. I got near the end and I go, oh, I know where this one's going. But I did it anyway, and haven't done this one since 2012, so some of you might not have heard it. 3 holy men and a bear. Catholic priest, Baptist preacher, and a rabbi all served as chaplains to the students of Northern Michigan University at Marquette in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They would get together 2 or 3 times a week for coffee and talk shop. One day, someone made the comment that preaching to people isn't really all that hard. A real challenge would be to preach to a bear. One thing led to another, and they decided to do an experiment. They would go out in the woods, find a bear, preach to it, and attempt to convert it to their religion. 7 days later, all of them came together to discuss their experiences. Father Flannery, who had his arm in a sling, was on crutches, and had various bandages on his bodies and limbs, went first. Well, he said, I went into the woods to find me a bear. And when I found him, I began to read him from the Catechism. If you're not Catholic, you don't know what that is. If you're Catholic, you still might not know what it is. But, well, that bear wanted nothing to do with me and began to slap me around. So I quickly grabbed my holy water, sprinkled it on him. Holy Mother of God, he became as gentle as a lamb. The bishop is coming next week to give him his first communion and confirmation. Reverend Billy Bob spoke next. He was in a wheelchair, had one arm and both legs in a cast, and had an IV drip. In his best fire and brimstone oratory, he exclaimed, well, brothers, you know that we Baptists don't sprinkle. I went out and I found me a bear. And then I began to read to my bear from God's holy word. But the bear wanted nothing to do with me. So I told him that we began to wrestle. We wrestled up and we wrestled down and we came into a creek. So I quickly dunked him and baptized his hairy soul, and just like you said, he became gentle as a lamb. We spent the rest of the day praising Jesus. Hallelujah. The priest and the reverend both looked down at the rabbi who was lying in a hospital bed. He was body cast, traditional, IVs, monitors running out of him. He was really in very bad shape. The rabbi looked up and said, looking back on it, circumcision may not have been the best way to start out. Do not ask me to explain any of that, please. That what that was? I had somebody else. God, we were at Granny's Old Country Buffet yesterday morning, and somebody looked at me and said, "Are you a preacher?" I've had this happen before, and I go, "Yeah, why would you say that?" He goes, "You just look like one." I have no idea, but it's not the first time that has happened. And he said, "Oh, is that why you're bald?" And I go, "Oh yeah, well actually, I've just been going like this all the time." Yeah. What was actually even more interesting was that I said, actually, that was because of what I do as a profession to make my livelihood. I said, I do insurance and health insurance, and I'm just, oh my goodness, all the time. And he goes, "You don't make your living at the church?" And I went, "No." You could see his perplexed look, because that is kind of unusual. So, anyway.
There we go. Whole Life Wellness Expo. Next weekend, if you want information, talk to Crystal. Here's a flyer on the quickening. Got those in the back. Check that out. Stiff Neck Be Gone. This is a workshop that Jackie did at the expo. I've been doing this practice. My neck has never felt better. You might want to, there's flyers in the back on that. Interchange, every Wednesday night's interchange. Sandra, fling your arm in the air. Talk to her about that. There's flyers on that. On being an empath, that's coming up. There's flyers on that. Dream Quest, there's a flyer on that. That's coming up. And the castle. We did the castle at the expo, and some of us didn't get to do that because we were busy doing expo stuff. So if you didn't get to do that guided meditation thing, there's a flyer on that. Okay, so this whole last week, I had a very sick kitty cat. And so I was pretty distracted with that, and then preparing for the women's workshop yesterday, Worth Shop. So I got home last night, I was like, I don't know, I got nothing for tomorrow. Not that that worries me any. So Phil says, well, I'm seeing a sunrise with rays of hope. I got all tingly all over, and this is like 10 o'clock at night, and I thought, well, I've got to go to bed, I'm so tired. I said, well, I'll just put that in the burner and we'll see what comes up. So this morning, this is what I saw. And I have some things I want to share with you about that. But before I do, yesterday's workshop was so much fun. Here's something I want to share with you. If I can find it. See, we did a lot of work. Did a lot of stuff. Okay, masculine energy and feminine energy. And when we're not taking either of those clearly, because I think we're a combination both masculine and feminine energy, then we fall into this not so pleasant place where there's resentment, anger, guilt, stress, depressed, feel pressure, anxiety, exhausted, and frustrated. And I think men sometimes get there too, do you not? Yep. So I might need to do a men's path of the sacred whatever. So it just, I'm not sure I'm brave enough yet. But if you have an interest in moving out of that energy, having tools to do that, let me know, we'll talk. Maybe I'll be brave. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'll teach them how to be the kitten. And how to be the kitten. There we go. I have a twist on that, though. I think I can do that. Oh, funny. All right. Isn't this cute? Who knew? What's this? Shadow. It's a shadow. Sun's still shining. There's a shadow. The shadow is when we slip into fear. Let me get my notes. And you know, sometimes we don't know we're afraid. Because, you know, we just get busy. We just keep doing. And we don't know we're afraid. Let me give you some ideas of how to discern if you're afraid or not. I have to tell you, this is coming from somebody who, I'm really a chicken. I spend a lot of time in fear. I may not let it get me, but Phil will tell you I'm one of the most fearful people in the world. It's just really hard for me to do anything without freaking out first. Do you kind of relate to that, maybe? When we're in fear, in the shadowed area, we kind of get into some cognitive distortions. We think all or nothing. I've never done that before, I can't do it. Right? We see things in absolutes, black and white. If I'm not completely a success, if I don't do it perfectly, then I'm a failure. Oh, you never do that, right? Overgeneralization. We view a single negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat. Okay, I tripped and fell once. I'm always falling down. Or I had that one relationship that broke up. I'm never going to have another relationship because I just failure at that. Make sense? We do that? Mental filter. We dwell on a negative aspect of an error and we ignore the positive. So we don't even notice when we do something really well. That's why you have other people who love you that can support you and stand up and say, remember when you did that really good? Because sometimes we just get twisted in our head and we hang out in the shadow. The sunlight's there, the light's there, the love's there, the power's there. No, we can't access that because we're stuck. We do mind reading. Not that kind of mind reading. Mind reading like believing that others are judgmental and focusing on our failures and mistakes. I knew you would not like me for that. You know, we do that. Fortune telling. We predict a disaster, a failure in the future. If I try this new thing, I'm going to fail. If I try that new thing, I'm going to fail. If I have a new relationship, I'm going to fail. Make sense? We just do that because we're stuck in fear. And fear manifests itself in different ways. We blow things out of proportion or we minimize them. Like any failures are just this huge monumental thing. And any success is like, oh, well, yeah, anybody can do that. I know you do that one. I've heard some of you do that one. Emotional reasoning. We reason from how we feel. I feel anxious about this, so therefore I must not be able to do it. Or I feel fearful about that, so I must not, I can't, I shouldn't try. We do all the shoulds, shoulda, coulda, woulda, oughta, gotta, must, have to, always, and never. Remember that? We get there. We put that constant internal pressure on ourselves, and that prevents us from moving into a place of I prefer, or I might want to think about. We get locked down. Labeling. I'm a loser. I'm a dud. I can never do that. I'm not good at math. You know, I could be really good at math when I just give myself the time to do it and think it through. But half the time I'm not good at math, so I can't do that. I won't do that. You got a calculator. Come on. No, I have to be a failure about it. Blame. We blame each other, blame ourselves, all that stuff. This is a little excerpt from my brother's book. He and I are collaborating on a book called Mindscapes for Life. How to change your mind, change your life, kind of thing. One of the things that he says here, people experiencing anxiety and panic attacks are looking at the world through a distorted mindset, to quote one little tiny thing. It's going to be a good book. I like it. So we're in fear. How do we get from being in the shadow into the light and empowered and moving forward? So this is what came through this morning. You're going to laugh. It's silly. Can everybody think of a fear? Got it? Know what a fear feels like? Anxious? Maybe a little bit, I don't know. Let's move into the trees represent our strengths. And if we can recognize our strengths, then that'll launch us into more of this enlightened state of being. So if we're in our fear, one thing that can help us grasp our strength is if we start wishing. Now, I understand a lot of people think wishes are worthless. And I used to think the same thing till this morning, 6 o'clock, 6:01. But here's the thing with wishing. Wishing is a step out of fear. I wish I could do this thing that I'm afraid of. I wish I could. What are some things you would wish? I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to interact here. Health. Health. Wish I had good health. For no pain. And when most of the time you're down here in fear about, what if I'm always going to be in pain? What if I'm never going to be healthy? I get that. Anybody else have health issues and you find yourself there a lot? This is the fear. What's another wish we could have? Better. What else? Safety, meaning Oh, okay. 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 I wish I could sing. Thank you. That's a good one. Okay, let's run this through first, and then I'm going to come back to that. Or you can just see how it all applies. All right, so all these are wishes. Now, when we're in the wish mode, we're still kind of hanging on to a little bit of the fear, but we're at least looking and seeing that there's an option, that this is not the only thing that can happen. That there is a possibility of better health. There's a possibility of better finances and personal safety and the opportunity to sing. Now, what gets us from here to a place of power and actualizing is two things. First thing is hope. Now, hope is different than wish. Wish is, I wish I could. Hope is a positive anticipation. A positive anticipation. That's hope. So it's beyond wishing. Wishing is like, yeah, I wish someday, but I'm really stuck in fear still. Hope steps us out of that and gives us access to the power of actualizing. And the power of actualizing is you and me connected with Divine Spirit. We can do anything that we can wish about. I did a workshop probably 25 years ago. And the presenter had us walk through a process. And one of the processes that he had us do was pick something you would like to see yourself accomplish. It was all about accomplishing. Masculine energy, by the way. And I thought, well, you know, I wish I could write a book. So we broke us up in groups and we shared our wishes with one another. And that was all lovely. Nothing changed. So he said, okay, now regroup, different groups. This time, you make it an I am statement. So instead of I wish I were a writer, I said, I'm a writer. And there were put three of us together. So each person would say their I am statement. And, you know, none of us believed it. You know, we were all still in wish. We were wishy-washy about our wish. You know, we didn't think we could do it. We didn't know we could do anything, you know. And he said, all right, pick whoever goes first. The rest of you hold sacred ground. Well, he didn't say sacred ground, that was my term. The rest of you just kind of reflect back to this person what they're saying. And he said, be loud. Scream it. So here we were all screaming our I am statement. The place was like 300 people and it was terribly loud. And you know, I kind of was one of the last people to get it. Don't you love it? And I screamed, I'm a writer. And it wasn't until I was screaming that out and the people feeding back, sometimes they fed back, oh, you'll never make it, you can't make it. You know, fed back all the lies I had said to myself. And then they fed back to me, but we believe in you. I bet you could. And all of a sudden it snapped. And I said, I'm a writer. And they said, yes, you are. Now, it took me 20 years to write a book because I still kind of hung out way down here a lot. Because there was a process between the wish and the power. There was a lot of information I had to gather. I didn't know how. I didn't know what to write about. Who wants to listen to me, right? So I had to get from the wish, got into the hope. But once I got into the hope, I realized, you know, there's people out there that have written books before.
They might know how. I could learn something from somebody. Maybe somebody could tell me something. Maybe I could read a book about it. Maybe I could just be aware. So I began to be in this place of hope, and as soon as I was in hope, then all of a sudden power, divine source, began to feed me information. And I kept getting little tidbits, until it was like, if I don't write a book, I'm going to explode. And I wrote a book. Then I wrote another one. Then I wrote another one. But I had to start with wish. I wish I could. So I wish for no pain and good health. If you can move into the I wish, then all of a sudden that opens the door to hope of, other people have been healed before. There might be some healing modality I haven't tried yet. There might be some hypnosis I could try. There might be some new medication I haven't learned of yet. Then we get into hope. And once we're in hope, then divine source can pump energy to us to help us find what we're looking for. Same thing with better finances. I wish I had better finances. Well, there are people who have really good finances. How'd they get there? What'd they do? I need to talk to other people. I need to figure that out. I need to get some more information. And divine source can all of a sudden now take charge of my finances instead of me taking charge of my finances. And I'll have new aspects of how to spend, how to save. And you know what? When we turn our finances over to the good Lord, let me get my southern accent here. When we can turn our finances over to the good Lord, miracles happen. All right, now let me translate that into real words. There's something about trusting our finances to the spiritual, to a creator, and magic happens. I don't know how it happens, but I'll have $10 in my wallet and need to spend something. I need to spend that, but I got to trust. And you know what? Somebody pays me back something I forgot all about. Get a refund check from the insurance company. When does that ever happen? When you need it. When you trust your finances. Make sense? So, but that puts you in the hope, and that gives you access to the power of actualizing. Personal safety. I wish I were safe. Wish I felt safe enough to be me. Pretty soon people show up that love you just the way you are. Another person shows up, loves you just the way you are. Oh, well, I'm safe. She's elbowing the person next to her. Wish I could sing. Are there people out there that sing? Do you think they offer lessons? Do you think there might be practice I could do that would strengthen my vocal cords? Maybe. And that's hope. And when you're in hope, then divine source will activate your world and bring to you exactly what you need. I told you the story about finding the rebounder at the yard sale, didn't I? Remember that one? I wanted a rebounder. So I said, divine source. I really could use a rebounder and I want to pay full price. Can you find me one at a yard sale? I found 4. Bought them all. Because, Lord will provide. I gave them to friends. They all appreciate it. So, not only did it bless me, it blessed somebody else. And I asked somebody, the last person, I'm going to buy a 4th rebounder. Okay. I said, why did you put your rebounder out there? What do you, she said, I used it, but it seemed to be in the way. All of a sudden, I just felt that somebody might need this. Because her yard sale had been going for an hour. Hadn't intended to put it out there at all. But she did. At a price I could afford. And I gave it away. It was wonderful. So the power isn't your power. We stay stuck in fear because we think we have to have the power. I got the power. Yeah, you do. But it's reaching through hope to get access to that power that will actualize a power in you that makes things happen. Don't you love it? Let's do a guided meditation, shall we?